BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Drum and bass is everywhere. The fast-beating heart of your workouts, the pure release of your nights out. And it's still breaking new ground. This is the story of how it rose and rose. I'm DJ Flight, and you're listening to Turn It Up, a short history of drum and bass. Episode 1, The Birth. D&B is woven into the fabric of the current music world, but to find out how it became so influential, we have to go back. As the 80s flipped into the 90s, a powerful movement was growing, informed by social, cultural and political upheaval. Poverty, racial oppression, war and the fall of European communism was soundtracked by a dynamic new incarnation of dance music, rave. Fabio, along with his DJ partner Grooverider, is a dance music icon. He was there right at the start when house and techno exploded in the UK in '87.
There was just a real feeling of unease. The police hate us, the government hate us. I'm black, everybody hates us. At the same time, man, music was always my get out. It was always my escape.
Some of the biggest promotions were birthed in fields, warehouses, even airport hangars, and they attracted thousands of people looking to party. The rave scene united people from all walks of life. Black, white, queer, straight, rude boys and girls, new age travellers, football hooligans. Everyone came together. Coventry-raised DJ Doc Scott, aka Nasty Habits, produced genre-defining tracks and runs his own label, 31 Records. He remembers the beginning when things were kicking off.
These people that were rivals and used to fight each other every other weekend or, twice a year at a football game, all of a sudden were putting on parties together. It was like a crazy transformation, and then it's like, oh, let's not fight anymore. Let's put on a rave, make a load of money and have a good time.
Despite most raves going ahead successfully and peacefully, things weren't always plain sailing. The government and police frequently clamped down on revellers.
The Pay Party unit, which is made up of officers from across the region, has built up detailed knowledge of the main organisers, where and how they advertise their parties. Officers will also pose as partygoers to get the details they need.
Hello, mate. You got any raves on this weekend? I'm coming up from Essex.
But once you light a spark...
When I first met Kemi, she said, yeah, I've been doing this thing called raving. And I was like, oh, electronic music, I don't know. But she just kept bombarding me with like pirate radio stations. And she just kind of injected me with a poison, really. And that poison I started to fall in love with.
Injected with a poison.
That was DJ Storm. She features a lot in this story. The Kemi she mentions is DJ Chemistry. These two women from Northamptonshire would go on to become the ultimate DJ duo and help the spark of drum and bass become a fire. Carl Loban, editor of DJ Mag.
The rave scene was just so tremendously exciting. It was so fresh. It was like a generational movement. People talk about punk rock, but the rave scene in its early days was the biggest youth culture movement in living memory in the UK.
For the first couple of years, much of the music that soundtracked this movement was imported from the US and Europe. Soon enough, people started experimenting, mixing that house and techno with hip-hop drum breaks, soul vocals, and a large injection of reggae sound system culture. The results? Britain's first truly homegrown genres, breakbeat hardcore and jungle. The sound of jungle beats are familiar now, thanks to people like Shy FX. But when early protagonists like the Beat Freak, Ibiza Records, and Reinforced crews started pushing this music, it was new and electrifying.
Mr. Cook? Yes? Your son is dead.
DJ Brian G co-founded one of the scene's most revered record labels, V Recordings. He remembers the addition of West Indian flavours to the beats being cooked up.
We in the UK decided to put our vibe into this techno music and add break beats to it. And then suburban areas like Manchester, London and Bristol or whatever, the Jamaican community, we like put our influences into it and You know, you add like jungle samples and jungle bass lines and all that.
Single-minded people, they can always find a way. Single-minded people, they can always find a way.
MC Navigator first established himself as a mic man on London sound systems in the 80s. Ragga Twins, his spars from Unity High Power, a North London sound system, were early to jump on the new craze sweeping the nation.
Ragga Twins take me to my first rave, and I'm standing in some field in Bedford, you know. I think it was a dance called Energy. It was freezing cold. It's all this ding, 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 ding. Now I'm like, what the hell is this? All these people running around, just all doing all this mad dancing, and people coming up to me and asking me, got anything, mate? Can I have a drink of your water, mate? I did not like it.
Chickaboo, the first woman jungle MC and first openly queer artist in the scene, began her rave journey as a DJ on a Birmingham sound system.
In our local pub, a lot of the kids that used to go to the raves used to meet there first and asked me to play rave tunes and stuff. I started playing it, and they would get up and dance and do this kind of like weird raver stuff. It was real vibes.
This is Hooligan 69.
Ragga Twins were like, this is the future. You want to make some money? You better start getting into this. And then around 91, that ragamuffin influence started coming in. It still had the hardcore element, but you could hear the ragga influence coming in.
Burning with ecstasy.
This was a time of intense musical experimentation. Fabio and Grooverider made a habit of pushing the envelope at their influential residency, Rage at Heaven nightclub, central London. The pair initially played in the small second room, which they quickly outgrew. Ravers loved the tune selection and inventive mixing so much, they were forced to queue down the stairs in the hope of getting in.
We had carte blanche to experiment upstairs. We changed the aesthetic. It got a lot more black. It was everything. Like, it was youthful and it felt amazing. We was up there mixing Meat Beat Manifesto, Radio Babylon, with techno that we were speeding up break beats over. We just noticed that the break beats had a different dynamic on the dance floor. And then when We.I.E came, was just a transformation, because it was everything that we were trying to do with break beats and techno. The tune came along that had it all.
Let me hear you scream. Let me hear you scream.
By now, Storm and Chemistry were budding DJs as well as fully fledged ravers, who, along with their friend and graffiti artist known as Goldie, travelled to 3 events or more every single week, as did thousands of others up and down the country.
We'd start at Rage on a Thursday, dance our backsides off, and then we'd get home and practice all the moves in front of the mirror that we'd seen those nights, each of us. Then we go to bed, or we might stay up and just carry on playing music. We go to work, and then we'd all get ready on a Friday night and go up to Coventry to go and hear Doc Scott.
Coventry was one of the first UK cities to allow legal all-night parties. From 1990 until it closed in 94, the Eclipse, later known as The Edge, was a 1,600 capacity former bingo hall that hosted promoters such as Amnesia House and Dance Planet.
We got to meet Top Buzz. We got to see different DJs up there, like we discovered Mickey Finn, Jumping Jack Frost, Brian G.
Sometimes we travel the whole of the country, down to Plymouth, right up to Leeds, to Scotland, to Carlisle. We went everywhere. And I remember me and Frost went to Belfast. This is when they were blowing up the place. It was a real dangerous place to go, you know, but we just went.
Radio gave me my first schooling on the music. I loved it. Pirate stations pumping 24/7, record shops stocking the latest releases, and DJs and promoters spreading the gospel enabled the scene to expand rapidly. Large-scale raves by Fantasia, Raindance and Spiral Tribe enticed crowds of 20 to 50,000. Clubs like Labyrinth in London, the Sanctuary Milton Keynes and Stearns Worthing all hosted their own nights and attracted passionate followings. Chickaboo.
That level of freedom, I'd only really witnessed that as a religious thing that happens when people are that caught up and free to express themselves. To see people hugging each other, it was very physical and appreciative worship of the music and the collaboration between the DJ and the crowd.
DJ Storm.
Through this music, we were coming together regardless of where you'd come from or how much money you had. And I still think that stands true of drum and bass today, that all comers welcome.
Can't beat the system, go with the flow. Can't beat the system, go with the flow.
Inspired by the originators, Storm, Chemistry and Goldie started carving their own space via early gig bookings as the Mach 3 crew and with radio shows on Defection FM.
Some people would laugh at me and Kemi that we were going to be female DJs, patting us on the head thing, yeah, all right, love, do you know what I mean? And yet there was a lot of encouraging people who were really like, go for it. The first time we saw DJ Rap, we just thought, you know what, if she can do it on her own, us two as a pair, you know, like supporting each other, can do this thing.
DJ Rap was an important first. The first woman to burst through on the male-dominated circuit. She was a groundbreaker. Underground heroes and heroines rose, spearheading huge crossover successes. Artists performing live PAs at both over and under 18s clubs, like where I saw breakbeat hardcore group SL2, found themselves hitting the charts and being invited onto a British TV institution. Top of the Pops.
You're tuned to the world's biggest and best music show. We bring you every kind of music. And when rave meets reggae, you get SL2. Check this out live on a Raggatic.
Now this is a special request to all crew. Once again, SL2 passing through. Hear the lyrical skills in a man like Just Screechy. Hey, hey, body, but what I die.
Now to a band who were formed by Chris Paul. This is their first single release with Different Strokes. Welcome to Top of the Pops, Isotonic.
Fabio.
We weren't into the commercial aspect at all. A case in point, Isotonic, Different Strokes, right? Which was our friend Chris Paul, which got to number 11 in the charts. And he messaged me and Groove and was like, guys, do you want to come on Top of the Pops? We were like, hell no, I'm not going on Top of the Pops, are you mad? We were just so entrenched in the underground. That's all we cared about. We didn't care about the charts. That's not what we wanted at all. We wanted to be the kings of the underground.
The underground was quick to respond to the fast-moving commercialisation of the music. Chickaboo remembers pioneer DJ and MC trio, Top Buzz, being some of the first artists to strip tunes back to the bare essentials with their classic Living in Darkness.
And that was, for me, a recognisable start in, wait a minute, the music's changing into just bass.
Even before working at DJ Mag, Carl Loban would evangelise about the scene, attending loads of raves, buying vinyl, DJing, and generally talking about it any chance he got. He fondly remembers the music's swift progress.
The music did seem to speed up. That kind of symbiotic relationship of producers giving new tunes to DJs, the DJs playing them out, the producers hearing this new tune, being influenced and then wanting to slightly copy or mimic or adapt or move forward. The rapid extent of the development of music in those early days was just incredible.
The most memorable moment was Amnesia House, where a man got married on stage, got a vicar there, got Groove Rider to be the best man. There was 30,000 people there. But what was so special about that, this glorious day, it was an amazing event. Groove went and played somewhere in London and came back 6 o'clock in the morning and he went to me, Goldie's made this tune, you know, it's called Terminator. And he played Terminator. And I've got to say, my brain couldn't comprehend what was going on. When that time stretch thing started going boom, 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 Groove rewounded it 8 times. Hearing Terminator for the first time, I saw the future. I saw this music has got legs. This is like splitting the atom. This is genius. And to end the day off hearing the birth of Goldie, really. And he changed the way we make music, the time stretching thing that went on to be just a normal thing within music. So for me, that was drum and bass's finest moment.
Goldie had arrived, his mark permanently stamped on the scene he'd become enchanted by just a little while before. The experimentation, expression and jubilation of these early years was a catalyst for change. Those who'd grown up through hardship and a lack of opportunities saw their worlds completely open for the first time, and they shared an optimism that anything was possible. Next time, step inside the visionary record label and club night that would turn this whole scene on its head. A name and a sound that still carries weight today, Metalheadz. I'm DJ Flight, and you've been listening to Turn It Up, a short history of drum and bass. Subscribe now to get the latest episodes as soon as they drop.
What can I say about Scottish festivals? Class people, rain ponchos, and banging music.
Tonight I'm playing another Tea in the Park show.
The rise and fall of Tea in the Park, told by the people who were there.
To us, it was just so exciting. All these amazing female musicians on stage, and I was like, wow, could that be me one day?
From humble beginnings,
I went up to look at the setup, and there was no monitors there.
To legendary status.
Come on, Glasgow! I want to see what you're made of.
Untold stories from artists, organisers, and its yearly devotees.
So I think it's one of the best festivals in terms of atmosphere in the world.
The rise and fall of Tea in the Park, only on BBC Sounds.